What's up, y'all? Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about Trap Lord Ross. Now, Trap Lord Ross, if you don't know, I know most of y'all know who he is, but he did a video on NBA Youngboy and these alleged 19 bodies. But that has opened up a much broader conversation about people like Trap Lord Ross, not from the culture, who continue to make content around things that happen in our culture, but it's always based on the most negative things. And what that means, is it snitching? Is it this, that, and the other? A lot of good points being made on both sides. I got some thoughts, but in this video, we're going to listen to a clip of Joe Budden podcast talking about this. And if I got time, I'm going to play a few little things from Wayno's video he made about this as well. So let's get right into it.
But no, I was actually talking about the Trap Lord Ross putting all those bodies on NBA. I mean, I ain't even gonna say it because I don't feel right saying it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Trap Lord Ross says, I gotta say, there's no way to tell the story. Says NBA has this amount of bodies. I'm doing some research, and yeah, turns out.
Well, it was a claim because he said Youngboy claimed to have these bodies, and I did some research and I found them all.
But is this claim just stuff that he's saying in songs?
Yes.
Come on, I can't stand it before I fuck.
I think this is some of the corniest shit in the world.
It is like,
it's mad corny. And don't just go back to what we talk about. Now, don't get me wrong. We know we've seen our share of people who rap, who put their real life stuff in lyrics. But also, this is where we just start making everything, just making up shit for the sake of content, knowing damn well that the things that these people are talking about in these songs is just for the songs. That's why we talk about lyrics not being used in court, right? So Trap Lord Ross making these videos for content, for profit, knowing that this is just entertainment. No way NBA Youngboy got. Look, I don't know NBA Youngboy. He could have 19 bodies. I doubt it, though. Just listen to the music for what it is. If that's the case, why don't you go break down some of the crazy lyrics in heavy metal songs or any other type of genre of music where they talk crazy? Break down that. Why is it? Why is our music, especially the negative aspects of it, what these people gravitate to and focus in on? Because there's a lot of also positive aspects. It ain't just that they gravitate to it and focus in on it, but then you take aspects of it that's ostensibly for entertainment purposes only, and you want to put together these stories and weave these stories together like they're true. And it begins to build this perception, especially when you got platforms that get millions upon millions of views, right? But let's keep going.
That's crazy.
Remember when you said at the beginning of the joint, like getting slapped and all that, bring that back, and I was kind of pushing back. My bad.
that was him for sure.
This is super cool.
While it is very corny, if you don't make a claim that you got 19 bodies, is there somebody to go look to try to prove this claim or no? No.
Bro,
How is he doing
for
the?
what?
How is he doing?
That's my point, though. Like,
Yeah, but nigga, it's a song. It's a song. So now, should we just start every time a rapper say something? Should we just start going to look and see if it's true or not? Should we just look at it? If he say I got 10 bitches, do we go try to find out? Do he really got 10 females? Or I had them all lined up. All right, let's go investigate and see if he really had them lined up around the corner. All right, come on, man.
like we point that part is corny, but we have no problem with a nigga running around saying I got 19 bodies.
That's not what he's
Somebody
running around
might
and
try to
saying.
prove that.
Not just that.
That's
it's
not what he's
totally
running around and saying.
I can run around and say whatever I want to say.
Right.
I can say whatever I want to say about my life.
Correct.
That don't mean that you now got to go report on my
Verify.
life. Yeah, like
Mind you,
I'm not saying it's corny. I'm kind of with Ice. If
Both
you
of them
have
are
19
corny.
bodies, you probably shouldn't go around saying I got 19.
That's nobody in here is going to dispute that.
Okay.
Right? Cool. But that don't mean for every now bottom feeder to now go do that.
and
But
also,
you know these. But,
yo, I've read this like he literally counted every time in songs. He said this person, that person, got the number 19 and then researched that. Versus, because I've never heard Youngboy say I got 19 bodies. I never heard him say he had a body. And they're on a
This kind of gives, I don't want to say credence, but this does at least make you think about some of the conspiracy theories out there about people like Trap Lord Ross, who are put in this space on purpose to do this investigative journalism for content thing, but really is for the purpose of providing information to the police behind the scenes, right? So you get all these people, maybe you get some comments, maybe you get people to say they seen this or they know that. It gets out there, like, you know, people, because people add on to this stuff too, but it just does give you pause and make you think about, like, man, was these people placed here on purpose? You know, how come you don't see content like this in other genres? Because let's make no mistake about it. Rap music, one, is not all about violence, but even the part of rap that is, it's not the only genre full of violence, right? That talks about violence and violent things. So why don't we see channels coming up around those other genres? Why don't we see channels talking about that stuff and getting millions of views talking about that stuff? Why is there such a laser-like focus on us and our music and making us just, again, this goes back to what I've been saying, man, a plan, multifaceted, in which they take all these things, all these small aspects, and they magnify them in order to try to build this stereotype in this picture that puts us in a much more negative light, that puts the things about us that are good, the things about us that are great, in a negative light. And so it's not just about hip hop. It's not about the great things about hip hop, how it makes you feel good, how, you know, the dancing, all the positive aspects about it. It's, let's focus in on this, narrow in on this, because this will help to build the picture and the stereotype and add to the whole black fatigue thing. And they're all violent, and let's look at the music that they listen to. And when that's not the whole picture. It's not even a half of the picture.
Rap song, yes, but not in an interview or just to speak.
I'm talking about rap song shit. Right, that's what happened. They're picking shit out of your songs.
Right, so I'm saying, but both of y'all think that if I'm a rapper and I'm rapping, and if a person was to sit down with a pen and add up, and it was 19 bodies in all of my music total that I said I killed, y'all think that's okay to go research that?
I'll give you an example.
Yeah. It's fucking art. It's fucking art. What are we doing?
Hold on, Mona. Let me
kill this. We ain't nobody kill nobody, Parks.
Mona,
that's the whole thing. Nobody
Let me
nigga rapping about
Joe talk about shooting niggas in raps.
Sure.
Let's count his fucking
if
body.
I kill Marilyn and then I make a rap song that says I killed Marilyn right after I killed Marilyn, and then someone eventually puts that together, I think that he is.
I'm not mad at the person that go put it together off of your words.
Someone's going to do it eventually.
Goofy
what's the next goal? Do you take that list to the fucking police? What the fuck is the point of that?
No, because now
you are the police.
No, and
Exactly. Joe said exactly what I was thinking. Why would you take it? Because you're working for them. You are them. Right. And I will say this. If you're committing crimes and you're putting it in lyrics, that's your dumbass fault. Nobody's justifying that. Nobody's saying that, you know, people who pick up, that's your fault. But what they're saying is, why do you take it up on yourself to put these pieces of the puzzle together and present them to the public as a whole? It's not your fucking job. You're not the police, right? But it does make you look like it.
that's that's the same shit I told the homeboy. What is your end goal?
I knew he was going to take it to Pablo.
What the fuck is your end goal? Your end goal is what? If this nigga go to jail, you gonna feel happy? If this nigga lose his team, you'll feel happy over that? This nigga did nothing to you, bro. If he did something to you, now it's warranted. Now we in the scuffle.
I see that.
Not to mention, we're talking about rap. We're talking about rap. In rap, you say you got these watches in the boat and the da-da-da. You know what I mean? The fact that you go that further.
Embellishment is a part of rap.
It's fucking, exactly. That's
but
the whole thing.
Those are not embellishment. Joe ain't get a tripod and shoot nobody.
But NBA Youngboy and a drill rapper. I think it's a difference between a drill rapper and NBA Youngboy.
He got a lot of drill songs.
Hold on, but how do we know that they're not embellishing? And let's just say if there's a writer who just writes graphic horror novels and stuff like that, and everything that they're actually using people that they might have known. Do they get investigated in that same way?
Fuck no.
No,
you would never even try.
Fuck no.
You would.
It's a goofy nigga that's trying to make their way in media that'll go research.
It's the same way of saying now you guys are okay with people's raps being used in court.
Exactly.
I've been told y'all.
No.
Hold on. Wait.
Can I jump in?
Let me answer that. I've been told y'all, if you are dumb enough to say on record, hey, I just did this over here, and now they bring that up in court. Yeah.
I think we're mixing up. I think we're mixing up the rap that we came up to and the rap that's out now with some of these young niggas. The rap we came up to, you said a whole lot of shit that you never fucking did, never seen.
But today,
right? But I don't think Youngboy.
Yo, I wrote a song. I wrote a song before about something that I saw somebody else go through, and I just posed it as me going through it. It's an art form.
Yes.
These niggas, at the end of the day, we might not appreciate their art for what it is, but these niggas are writers and they are creating music. So now every time that I write something, doesn't have to be an actual indication of what I've done in my life. But what if I took those situations and applied it as myself to tell the better story with the music? Why is that not considered at certain points?
So here's my take.
Go ahead, Mark.
Because I think there's a few things here. One, I agree with you, Ish. Well, I agree with all of y'all that I don't think we should be using stuff in court. I don't think we should be criminalizing art. I don't think that we should be, and I wouldn't take my time to run around counting bodies and lyrics to see if they match up with somebody. And I'm never going to do the police work. So I'm never going to be out there trying to report this shit. That's me. The thing that I said that I do agree with, though, is from a cultural perspective, sometimes when that does happen and the person has done the killing, all of our outrage seems to be for the person who did the telling and not for the person who did the killing. And all I'm saying is, I think we got a whole, because I hear a lot of drill rappers, when they get caught, I don't hear enough outrage about the fact that people is walking to people's graves, digging them out, walking up to people, killing people, rapping about it in songs. I'm saying, like, we should have more outrage as a community for that. That's not the excuse to snitch. I don't even call it snitching at that point. Because I don't think it's snitching. I don't like it because of the last thing y'all said.
It's not snitching. Making a list is absolutely telling. It's telling.
Well,
it's telling.
It's telling.
The police can use the list to indict you.
It's top calling. Right. I'm saying it's not snitching because we're not in crime together. If I decide,
okay, right. It's not snitching. You got my bad.
Mark, can I say to you? But can I just say the indictment for me isn't so much being mad at calling out the person who's doing the crime.
Yeah,
I just think when you do that, there's also an indictment on hip hop as a culture. Like, this is the culture that needs to always be investigated in that way.
All right, no. I was gonna say, and Mark kind of making two different points here. I don't think anybody is saying not to call out people that's committing the crimes, that's doing the things like that. And yes, there is room for us to hold people more accountable in that arena. But as it relates to what's going on with people like Trap Lord Ross and what they're doing and who they might be working for, that's a different thing. That's a totally separate issue. Right, it's a totally separate issue, and I think Mark is kind of making a separate point. There's a whole different argument, but it sounds like Imani making the point that I'm thinking. Let's hear that again.
Can I just say the indictment for me isn't so much being mad at calling out the person who's doing the crime.
Yeah,
I just think when you do that, there's also an indictment on hip hop as a culture. Like, this is the culture that needs to always be investigated in that way.
Right. These are a culture that needs to be investigated. A people. Shit. I don't know if some of y'all watched the recent interview with Piers Morgan and Nick Fuentes, and Nick Fuentes continuing to spew his racist ideology. But it continues to build the stereotype that Black people are violent. This is the type of music they listen to. They're wild, etc., etc., etc. And you can't say, it's not a valid argument to say, oh, well, they make the music. So, because this is one of the arguments that Trap Lord Ross made. They make the music. I'm just reporting on it. No. You're not just reporting on it. You're making up stories for content or for other motives. There may be some other ulterior motives, which I think there is. It's not just reporting the news. You're not just reporting the news. You are actively building and perpetuating narratives and stereotypes. Let's make no mistake about this. What Trap Lord Ross and those type of content creators do, it's not fucking journalism. It's not. Yeah, sometimes they may go out and look and put together some facts and things like that. No, they're storytelling. They're storytelling. And who's that story detrimental to? It's not them. It's not their people.
But that never happens within sports culture. It never happens in rock and then nothing else. I think that's where the frustration comes from. It don't come from
who
niggas being fucked up.
Who's Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, like
Tarantino, right?
Tarantino, yeah.
Nobody go investigate him to see if they raped the nigga and put a thing in their mouth and all. Like, yo,
I'm with you, but what I'm saying is, I agree with that. What I'm saying is, if someone were to do that and find out that he did have a nigga in his face with an apple in his mouth,
why don't
I'm just saying, I'd like to see the outrage at Tarantino's basement and not at the thing. That's all I'm saying.
No, I ain't.
Hey man, sometimes it ain't worth it to make a counterpoint. Mark, well, we ain't talking about that, bro. We ain't talking about that. We ain't talking about being outraged about the fucking people committing the crimes and shit like that. That's not what this conversation's about, man. Like some counterpoints, just let that shit go for another day, man. This ain't the time. All right? This ain't the time. Yeah, we mad as hell at the people that's in our neighborhoods actively destroying and all of that. But we're talking about the people who seem like paid operatives that's in our community continuing to build and fucking perpetuate negative stereotypes and shit like that. Building stories out of thin air, taking fictional stories and trying to turn it into nonfiction. That's what the fuck we talking about, and them being accountable for that shit.
I know.
Some of these little niggas need to be locked under a jail.
A lot of niggas in every industry need to be under the jail for the shit they doing. So
that's why I don't want to put a specific spotlight on hip hop. I'm saying,
what you say, Ice?
No, I was just saying, how do you know somebody didn't go and look up Pulp Fiction shit and say, oh, it's just a story? There's no real persons behind. My point is, you're putting real things that have happened, murders, real crimes. Fuck it. You're putting real crimes.
That's accusation.
In a song.
In a song.
No, you are an idiot.
No, correct ourselves. That's an accusation.
No.
He has not admitted to anything, and anything of that happening in his songs. So we don't know what he's admitting to.
Like, let's move it. Hold on.
So let's make that clear.
Let me move it.
We're assuming that that's what happened.
Can I move it real fast? Pause.
Oh my God.
I paused it. I paused it.
All right, they ended up going to a different subject. So I'm gonna end that right there, okay? Now we're gonna jump over here and listen to Wayno talk about this a little bit more.
Trap Lord Ross has made a video about NBA Youngboy, and it's not his first video about NBA Youngboy. He made a video a couple of years ago, and the title was Youngboy, Real Killer or Fake Gangster. Now, keep in mind that Trap Lord Ross is not even an American, right? But, you know, he is a white man. Let's just put it out there. You know what I mean? If you want to talk about Trap Lord Ross and his lineage, he's from the motherland of white men. You know what I'm saying? He's from the UK. You know what I mean? Like, he's from where, you know, they came over here and marked their ground, all types of shit. But Trap Lord Ross made this, he's on this, I don't know what to call it. I don't know. I know what to call it, but it's like, it's kind of, I'm trying to think of the words and shit. But really what it is that he's making a video talking about NBA Youngboy having 19 bodies, right? And then I watch, you know, a lot of different channels. I watch Flacco. I fuck with Flacco. But it's disappointing to see Flacco talk about Trap Lord Ross in a degree of, what's the problem? But when he talks, you know, when he talks about this Trap Lord Ross situation, in particular about him catching the 19 bodies, he's like, why are we mad at Trap Lord Ross and not the rapper who possibly took all these people's lives? Youngboy saying in songs that he's taking people's lives or something like that. And for him to say he has 19 and all of that, you know how many people, you know how many rappers rap about taking people's lives? I mean, like, that's one of the more underlining things on how to be a rapper, is talk about taking somebody else's life, particularly in this subject matter, a person like yourself, another black person. Because when they talking about taking lives, they ain't talking about nobody else but ourselves, right? That's the shit that's been celebrated for years. But now we've opened up the world to people like a Trap Lord Ross, where it's not about bravado and none of that. Music is now solely about, well, he said it, so it's got to be true, and I'm gonna look into it and I'm gonna find it out. And people are calling me the feds. Well, I want to watch one of these videos, and I want y'all to watch it as well. And my thing about Trap Lord Ross is, listen to the excitement he gets when talking about this type of shit. Now, you could say somebody getting excitement about being a fan is normal, right? But you would say that about like music, right? Like, keep in mind, is Youngboy's music only about one thing? Nah. No. You know what I mean? Like, he got music about a lot of different shit. But in particular, when we're talking about his music, it has to be around killing, because that's that's the lore of it, right? Pun intended. That's the whole thing about it. And listen to how excited he sounds talking about a black person potentially catching 19 homicides.
More gang. I think Youngboy really might have 19 bodies after all. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be surprised at what I'm saying, okay? But Youngboy dropped this song, Tears of War, back in 2024. Now, this song was very controversial, but it flew under the radar to a lot of people. But in this song, Youngboy claimed, go and tell him that I'm lying, I got 19 bodies. This was the last song he released before he was arrested. And I'm here to tell you guys today that it's true. Youngboy.
Hey, the marketing around making us look like the scum of the scourge of the earth is next level, bro. The marketing is next level. You can't tell me you look at that verse and the first thing that comes to your mind is it gotta be true. There's no way. There's no way, man. And you can't tell me that out of all Youngboy's lyrics, this is the one you really want to focus on. Why? Because that's what's going to get you the views, right? So you're going to put together a story. You're going to make your own piece of fiction. Now you're going to make it like his isn't fiction. So you can come up with a fictional story and make it like it's real for views. So you don't do this to nobody else. For no, I really never really watched Charlo. I think I seen a few of his videos probably like last year or so, like here and there, but I don't really fuck with Charlo Ross.
It really does have 19 bodies. Me and my team have spent the last 2-3 months digging very, very deep into Youngboy's history, his music, all of the people around him, every single case that's even.
Why don't you dig into his history and see what type of good he's done with himself, man? See if he's done any philanthropic deeds or anything like that. Why don't you dig into his history and see what type of things he maybe he's overcome? See what type of things he's done that has affected people in a good way. Maybe look into how many of his fans maybe were helped by his lyrics. No, we're going to use 3 months of our time to look into the most devious, demonic shit we can find and make a story out of it.
Even been associated with him, his crew, his gang, and offshoots of his gang, NBA, 4K Trey, groups of small gangs in Baton Rouge that you will never even have heard of. And I can tell you that based on my research, the research that me and my team have done diligently over the past few months, Youngboy is not lying when he says he has 19 bodies. I'm telling you, I've seen every single body. I've got every single name, and I'm going to be revealing all of those names in a video very, very soon.
Now,
yo, come on, man. So you got every single name, come on, man.
as content creators, we're all making money
right
for everything that we're doing every time we hit and upload, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason why he's so excited, it's 19 and I've seen him. It's because he know he about to make a killing off of just even uttering some shit like this. Mm-hmm. See, Youngboy, you know, while he's not people's cup of tea, and people don't really like him at all. Of course, you got the people who are like, yo, NLE Chopper, yay, all that shit, right? Like about Youngboy, he just came off doing a tour. And when he came off doing this tour, he did a sold out tour across the country, makes $70 million. You know what? There's a reason why there will never be a video about him having a successful tour where none of his friends lost their lives and they weren't the cause of anybody losing their lives while on tour. It's because that ain't sexy enough for the white man. And I'm not talking
and don't forget, even during the tour, they had to pull out the clips of the few incidents that happened. And don't get me wrong, bad incidents, a couple of them, but they only focus on the bad stuff. You didn't see clips going around of too many good things going on at his tours, right? I haven't seen every clip, so I don't know, but every clip that I saw was something negative.
All white men. I'm talking about this white man in particular, right? Now, this is where he talks about the backlash that he's been getting about covering this type of shit.
I'm getting all sorts of comments, people talking about you're the feds, you're the cops, take it down, don't do this. But it's like, you want to have it both ways. I told you in the last video that I did about this on this channel, everybody was up in arms. When King Von said to Youngboy, you got cap in your raps, a lot of people said, nah, Youngboy the realist, bro, he ain't capping in those raps. Them raps about having all those bodies, 12 bodies and one child. Stop, that's what I said. Go and tell him that I'm lying, I got 19 bodies. He said it. He been saying for years, for 3 years now, scratch that. For 3 years, he's been saying he's got 12 bodies. For 1 year, he's been saying he's got 19 bodies. He'd been saying he got 7 bodies for 5 years straight. He was going neck and neck for bodies with King Von. I feel like I'm well within my rights as a fan, as a hip-hopologist, as a historian of the game of drill music, because that's what I do. Journalist in drill music to discover and decipher what these lyrics are all about. All right. I'm a onemanGenius.com. He told me he had 19 bodies. I said, let me look into it. And I found 19 bodies. Okay.
Now, him with all of this, I'm a hip hop this, I'm a that, the reason why I'm doing listen, let me tell y'all something. You want to, because people always say, yo, why don't he talk about white crime? You know why he don't talk about white crime? Because no white gangsters would never allow him to play like that. They would never allow him to play like that. See, one thing about people who do this type of shit, that type of shit, is they know who they can and cannot play with. If he was a person that he was covering, because it ain't white gangsters.
Right.
It is. If he was,
and there's a lot of white gangster music too. I think Wayne will make a good point on this. I'm not sure if I'm fully on board with that's the whole reason, but I will say this. We are too inviting. We are too inviting. We let too many people come in and just do whatever. I mean, look at Adam 22, right? And people like him, right? We just let anybody come in, exploit us, our people. And look, man, this is not to justify the bullshit. I want to make that very clear. This is not to justify the bullshit. But when you start having this crossover between the bullshit and just everyday black people living life, right? Our culture overall, hip hop culture overall, knowing that it's not all about this negative shit, but you got that crossover, which is actually in many ways, and depending on who it is, it drowns out, or let's just say it pushes it into the background, the positive aspects, the positive element, because people get inundated with the negativity, inundated with the sensationalized stories, inundated with the fictional bullshit that people like Trap Lil Ross put out, right? So that's all I'm saying. This ain't to justify nothing, though.
Covering biker gangs that was doing this type of shit, and one of them said biker gang dudes was an artist and they was having a show. You think he could come backstage at a show?
Fuck no.
If you talking about they shit?
Hell's Angels?
No, but you know what we do?
No.
Open the floodgates. Yeah, come on in.
Mm-hmm.
That white boy cool. He knows my song. So he's cool. He knows my song. Now, the thing about him talking about...
Or he got an audience, man. You know, we got to get this promo, get visibility.
About any death that's happening, keep in mind, when you sitting here celebrating and talking about, yo, the 19, if there's people that's really hurt, it goes on both sides. It goes on both sides. I got friends tatted on me that lost their life to gun violence. And I got friends in prison for the rest of their life for gun violence. It goes both ways. See, the thing about our black pain, the shit that we go through, the stuff that people like to joke about in the comment section, and y'all like to make these pages, and you know, it's no different than. I remember when I was a kid, me and this kid in Bronx River Projects, this kid named Righteous. He lived next to my grandmom's. We used to buy crabs from 174th Street. We used to buy the crabs. We used to put them together and make them fight. And we used to make the crabs fight for our own entertainment. Feel me? And this type of shit is, you think he don't know that shit will come out of this? You think he doesn't know that? Of course he knows that. That's his whole thing. The more killings that happen, the more black on black killings, the more gang wars and all of that, that's how these niggas eat.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how they eat. That's how they get their shit off. When they hear somebody.
So they're incentivized to stir the pot, right? They're incentivized to stir the pot, and they're nowhere near any of it, right? He's wherever the hell he's at in some UK suburb. I don't know.
When they hear another body drop, they like, oh, we got another one. They excited about that shit. What's the difference than them pictures from back in the days? What's the difference? See, when we talk about culture, culture is a way of life. We attach culture, the word culture, to so many things, not knowing that culture is simply a way of life. But see, the thing about us is we respect other people's cultures. You know what I'm saying? When we see other people doing certain things, oh yeah. But how we treat each other, how we treat each other is a reflection of how they treat us. Because when they treat, when we treat each other, how we treat each other, when we up in the score and all of that shit, and we doing all these things to one another, they like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? It's no different than a pit bull fight. My problem with this and shit like this overall, one is that it will never stop.
No,
I
it
could
won't.
bitch, moan, cry, complain, all I want. You think that's going to make a white man go sit down, like him, go sit down with somebody's mother?
No.
And talk to their mother and listen to their mother talk about seeing their sons take their last breath or not being able to close their son's casket because they didn't have a head?
Hey, you know what else is funny though, when you think about it? All the biggest channels when it comes to these types of things are about white people, right? The two examples that you can think of at the top, Trap Lil Ross, 1090 Jake. When it comes to just things in black culture, snitching, deletions, the negative aspects of shit. What's the one dude? I ain't watched him in a long. Al Prophet, right? It's all ran by white people, man. And this ain't to say I got an issue with white people. I just find that interesting. And that's not to say that black people don't talk about these same things. Why are those channels the channels that seem to always rise to the top? It's just something to think about.
These is things that really I don't think people really realize the type of trauma that goes on. See, the thing about the trauma, because we sing and dance to it so much, we have minimized our trauma so small. And then we've also had this bravado about us that it's like, whenever we are going through trauma, we're talking about trauma, like when we talk about it in a song and then you get asked about it, ain't no crying, ain't no none of that. We just medicating ourselves all day, popping whatever new pill, taking whatever drug, doing whatever it is to do out there to cope with our pain. And that makes us men to them. They look at it and say, oh, he's a gangster. I got to get next to him because if I get next to him, I can eat the story and all that shit. Like I said, it doesn't stop. But I want to watch one more clip. And this clip is him, like I said, talking about the scores and all that shit. He calls himself the scorekeeper.
This song, bro, I don't believe it. When he says he's got 19 bodies, and when that Slime Cry album drops and he starts talking about 21 bodies, 22, 23, he's counting on his hands, his toes, he's counting on he's gonna have to get a chalkboard to keep tally of these. I'm gonna believe every single word of it. But look, let's get into some of the comments, let's get into some of the criticism, the Reddit posts. I'm just gonna breeze through it all, okay? Because I really don't care. This is what I do. This is what I do. I'm the bodies guy. I count the bodies, okay? I'm the scorekeeper. All right. And I'm not condoning the scoreboards, but this is just what I do. I'm the guy that proved King Von had 7 bodies. Youngboy said he had 19 bodies. I said, I believe you. And now I'm the feds. Oh, now I'm the feds. Okay. Maybe he shouldn't have said he had 19 bodies. Any other rappers out there, whether you're Lil Jeff, Q50, same thing happened, Kill Bill. If you're out here saying you've got an insane body count and you want to go viral for having the insane body count, I'm going to go viral for looking into your body count. It is what it is, bro. That's what it is. That is what it is. Okay. So look, let's look at the criticism, but I've just got all of that off my chest. It's very important. I just keep that very real with you. Okay.
The unfortunate thing about this is that while I might not like, the shit that he does, he makes a lot of money off of it. He's going to continue to make a lot of money off of it. He doesn't care. There's no karma for that. There are going to be people who support this. Right. And I'm talking about our own people. Yeah. Right. Like, don't get it twisted. I mean, I am probably one of many that doesn't agree with this type of shit, but there is going to be tons of people that's like, man, so what? And, we also are in a time where we got kids, man. Our kids are discovering so much. And a lot of times when we talk about kids, and I see everybody, man, everybody in America get to talk about their representation, and they get to stand up for their representation, and they get to fight for their representation, and they get to put laws in, laws into order about their representation and how they want things or whatever.
While he's saying that, something came to mind too. You don't see this, like Wayno pointed out, as far as doing it about him doing it with white gangs or anything like that. But you don't really see this, especially at this level. And we already talked about it, the Owl Prophets, 1090Js, him, Trap Lord. You don't see it when it comes to Hispanic gangs. There's some vicious Hispanic gangs out there, bro. Black gangs ain't got shit on some of these gangs. Shit. But you don't see them finding those characters, trying to see if they really got, a lot of them probably really got 19 of them things, right? MS-13, all them type of gangs, right? You don't see them doing that. Gangs out in Cali, the Mexican gang, you don't see them doing that. From the gangs from El Salvador, you don't see them talking about that. Like if it was just about that, there's young people in them gangs that got way more going on. They're way crazier. They ain't even using blicks. They're using machetes, all right? It's not about that, man. It's not about that. It's about creating the narrative around us and our people, man. I'm telling you. There's all sorts of content that could be made. And if all you want to do is make content about gang culture and violence, and it ain't just us, bro. And we sure as hell ain't the worst. And then having said that, y'all, I'm gonna end this right here. Y'all should check out Wayno's video. It's a pretty good one. But yeah, man, look, issues in Black community, hip hop culture aside, this all just leads me to believe even more so that there is an agenda at play. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Trap Lil Ross is an agent. But I do find it interesting. You don't make this type of content around anybody, any other types of gangs and any other types of races. You ain't doing it with Hells Angels. You ain't doing it with what's the other motorcycle gangs out there, man? You ain't doing it with the pagans, the outlaws, the banditos. You're not doing this with the Mexican gangs, right? The Serenos, the MS-13s, and all of them. They got a lot of shit going on in their shit. You ain't doing this with the. You act like there's not violence happening. If all you wanted to do was talk about gang shit, violent shit, criminal stuff, there's all types of stuff going on. But some of the biggest channels are centered around us and our people and the negative elements around our culture. But listen, y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below. And do you even watch like Trap Lil Ross and them? Look, like Wayno said though, if it ain't Trap Lil Ross, it's going to be another one until we shut that shit down. Just because there's negative and bad things happening in certain elements of our culture and people talk about certain things and certain types of music, that don't mean that we need to let people create content around it that's going to put all of us in a bad light. Right? And even those people, they need to shut that shit down themselves. Stop letting dudes like him talk about that shit in the first place. But y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.